Yes, people, what's going on? Welcome back to United View. Welcome to another video. Welcome to the Trinity podcast, episode 58, which obviously there would normally be
kabloom,
kaboom and soundboards
KG,
and this, that, and the other. If you're thinking KG looks a little bit different, it's because it's not KG. Just a little bit different. It's James from the Muppeteers. Big up to James coming through on the Trinity podcast, man. It's a big week ahead. You know what I mean? We've got to play Forest, then we play City a week today as well. So there's loads going on. Smash a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. Also, Owen's wearing the UV hoodie right there. There you go. Clean cut. The UV hoodie right there. There you go. Nice quality. You guys have all been asking for it. Shout out for the people who have made their orders as well. We see you. Everybody. The link is in the video description below, and the link is also in the chat as well. If you want to go to head over to the UV store and check it out. We got hats, we got beanies, we got hoodies, we got t-shirt, we got zip-up hoodies, we got bomber jackets. The lot, it's all there. It's all there, man. So make sure you guys check that out as well. Who else is there? The multiverse says Kimario, 100%. KG replaced. Yeah, he's gone. We changed it.
Permanent.
So he's permanent. No, he just couldn't make it this week. And S. Lucas says Sunday Trinity is a nice surprise. 100%, exactly. And guys, as every video we do on the Trinity, every podcast, as you know, is sponsored by Oxford Natural and Going Live. And this time, obviously, we've been on our Optimum journeys, and it's been up to 70% off. Okay, your first order with Optimum, but it's all about Digest. It's all about Digest. If you don't know what we're talking about, if you haven't seen the video with myself and Dr. Andre explaining what Digest is and all the natural ingredients in it and how it can help you with pre and post biotics, listen, go and check it out. Dr. Andre letting us know why our gut system is so important, how it helps your guts as well. So make sure you guys check that out. Scan the QR code on screen. You can see it right there, right above my head, right there. Right there. Yeah, right there. Yeah, scan the QR code, 100%. And the link is in the video description below as well. So shout out to everybody at Gowan Life, and using code United View. As usual, you can get up to 70% off your first order as well. So don't say we don't look after you as well. Kamario says, I love... Oh, hold on. Oh, when is... No. Aaron says, when is the court hearing? They ain't forgot.
Slip of the finger, that flex. Whoa, you know what I mean?
Well, I was going to the one just above it.
Like with any kind of court proceedings, it doesn't get done overnight. You know, you have the right to a speedy trial, yes. But, you know, the prosecution and defense likes to get a lot of evidence together. You know, there's quite a few weeks and months of footage to go through. You know, this discovery takes time. Depositions. You know what I mean? I've got to put these things together. Yeah.
Well, they're presenting their case to the CPS, Crown Prosecution Service first. So, you know, you've got to see if there's even a case. You know, it's got to go through all the right.
There's a case.
There is a case.
There's a case.
Still got to get signed, sealed, and delivered. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you know.
Yeah, exactly. But listen, let's get straight into today's show, man. There was a story.
Bruno's leaving. He's going to Real Madrid. It was ran today in the Sunday papers. You've got to have a big story on a Sunday, don't you? People go out, they get their papers to do, like my dad does, the crossword. Got to get the crosswords in, and then you'll see the back page. You've got Bruno's leaving. Well, according to the Sunday Express, he is. They were saying today, fellas, that Real Madrid are weighing up a £90 million offer for Bruno Fernandez in the summer. They're so keen that Real Madrid representatives have been present at virtually every Manchester United match recently, both home and away, to watch the player. No, you know.
Don't believe it at all. Don't believe that at all.
Totally real.
I think it's total bullshit. I do think. I mean,
I had to come see him in person too at this point, right? You know, just to know what kind of player he is, they got to be in the stands now. There's not enough. There's not enough out there to know who Bruno is.
No, you need to go
That's
have
such a good point. Yeah. That's such a good point. It's not like they're scouting someone from like Bolivia or something like that. You know what I mean? We've never seen him in person. You know, I know the stats look good, and all the times he's been on TV, he's looked pretty good. But I'll go see him in person just to double check.
It might be totally different. You never know.
Yeah.
I mean, someone says it there as well. Did Madrid spending 90 million on a 30-year-old? Listen, I think Bruno's excellent. I've jumped to his defense a lot. I do not believe that Real Madrid would pay 90 million for him now, though. Is Bruno a £90 million player?
Maybe not at his age, though.
Yeah, exactly. To invest into Bruno now to give him a 5-year deal, he's not a £90 million player.
Then
Yeah,
but not.
but
not
he
30,
is he
30 going
is he
on 31?
operating? Is he operating at the level of a £90 million player? Is he operating at a
Depends
£100
on
million
a level
player?
of competition. What do you think about that? I mean,
Yeah,
what is a £90 million player in today's world? It's hard to know that.
true.
The
Because
market's
apparently,
so crazy.
like Ridwan says, apparently Tyler Diblin is one.
Yeah.
So
Well, then Bruno's definitely well ahead of that. Definitely.
he says Bruno's fitter than the most 25-year-olds.
I know it's different.
How much is
positions
Bruno
here,
worth?
but I know this is different. I know this is in positions here, yeah. But when we think about Harry Kane went to Bayern Munich for around 90 million, 100 million quid, something like that. He was 30 at the time, 29 at the time, 29, 30. And if you're saying that, well, it's different because Harry Kane scores goals, he's guaranteed goals. Hey, Bruno Fernandez guaranteed goals and assists. Look at his numbers since he's been at United. So
hold on, wait.
If you're that much of a guarantee in terms of you will definitely, because Harry Kane's a perfect example, right? Obviously, he never won anything in his career because he was at Spurs, but guaranteed numbers. He has proved that whether he plays for Spurs, or he plays for England, or he plays for Bayern, guaranteed numbers, not guaranteed trophies, but guaranteed numbers.
Yes.
And according to that, he's like, I think it was saying 110 million euros. That's around 100 million quid, right? Just under. So is there much difference between that and Bruno? At the same
Bruno's
age?
contract is up in 2017.
I mean, he's just signed a new one, didn't he?
He's just signed a new one, and it's got an option to further. So he's got to 2028. So essentially, we've got Bruno for 3 years, and he's playing at this level. If we were to sell him in the summer, what is Bruno Fernandez worth, please, guys? This is to everyone. I want to open the floor here because actually, we're going, Madrid ain't paying 90 million for him. We say Madrid wouldn't do that just because they don't buy 30-year-olds for 90 million quid. That's why. Yeah. But in terms of Bruno Fernandez for sale in the summer, what is he worth? Can we have a discussion around this, please?
I mean, if I was thinking of a club like Juventus, 80, 90 million, they've done it before for players of, his age and all of that. I think that's fair, but depends who, right? Depends who.
There's not a lot of people. I don't know. He's operating at a top class level where you know what you're going to get. But there's probably not many teams in world football that would buy him for 90 plus.
No.
Well,
it feels weird. I don't know who.
It's a little bit unique too. His position, the way he plays, all of that. It's not something every team even uses. Is a player who's like that.
Exactly.
That main line through the attack for everything. Not many teams do that anymore.
That was what I was going to say. That's what I was going to say. The thing of. Look at Jack Grealish when he left Aston Villa to go to City, right? And obviously now, in retrospect, we go like, well, they signed 100 million quid. He's not worth that. But to Aston Villa at the time, legitimately, he was worth 100 million pounds. He kept them
promoted
in the Premier League.
Kept them up.
Yeah, exactly. So to them, that was worth 100 million pounds. To us, Bruno Fernandez, as well, depends on who you ask in the fan base, because if you ask some, we'd be much further high up the league without him. Others, if you ask them, they'll say, well, we'd be in a relegation fight this season, without Bruno Fernandez. You want to talk about the money that we've lost over the last 5 years. Would we have lost more without Bruno? So, like, in terms of his actual empirical value of like what he brings to our team, whether you like it or not, it's a lot, regardless of his age. Because if you take him out, we're worse off. We're worse off. So how much is it to be worse off, basically?
Whereas Wally says, as it stands now, he's roughly between 70 and 85 million. But if he leads us to win the Europa League, he goes to 95, 100. JPNT says, how many Dorgus could we buy if we sell Bruno? Which is
a lot of Dorgus.
A lot of Dorgus, bro, especially at 40k a week, that's for sure. I do think it's a really interesting one because it's you hear the story and you go, listen, total rubbish. Real Madrid aren't buying a 30-year-old, number 10 as well, for 90 million pounds. So you kind of rubbish the story, and then you go, okay, well, you do what we're doing here. Actually, how much is he worth, by the way? And then you have to go one further. Let's just discuss, because it's a hypothetical story, but sometimes I like hypotheticals because it leads to bigger conversations, right? If we were offered a crazy amount of money for Bruno Fernandez in the summer, trying to rebuild the team, it's 30, he's not going to get any better than this because he's at the top level. Do you look at it? If one of these big teams came in and did put 80 million down, 85 million down, 90 million down, do you look at that? And secondly, I was just with Bruno. We caught up with Bruno after the Europa League game against Sociedad at home, and he said, I had offers to leave last season. However, I spoke to the team and the management and saw what the plans were, and obviously he decided to stay. But could Bruno, if a big offer like that came in from Barcelona, Real Madrid, Juve, I don't know, could he go, well, I do want to, I've got about 4 years left at the top, maybe. I'll tell you what. Is there something that could happen in the summer is what I'm getting at?
I feel like it is, and I feel like that's why it was a subject of discussion last summer for him. Because if you look at it, let's say we don't get into the Champions League. We don't win the Europa. There's no Europe next year. That means there's not that much money. There's money to spend. There will be some transfers that way, but not that much. And you have to look at both sides of the coin and say, he's only got a few years left. If we don't make in the Champions League next year, that means next year's definitely another rebuild year. It's another year of young players, of a few young players on low wages coming in, building up this team to try to get back to Europa. Then it's another year of probably Europa League. Then it's you maybe getting into Champions League and starting to compete. And by that time, he's in the final year of his contract again. And you start to think from both sides of this, that 80 million might look pretty good to rebuild the whole squad faster and speed this process up. But for him, it's also, you could go somewhere and compete now, win some trophies now, play at the highest level before it's too late. I'm not saying I would want to, or he would want to, or they would want to, but you kind of have to consider it a little bit, that it makes some sense for all parties. Like it kind of could be best for everybody at that point, depending on his
crazy,
view.
Yeah. When you put it like that and you actually think about it, the first thing, like you say, the first staple thing is can't afford to sell him as our best player. What are you talking about? Gets goals, gets assists. Like he's the best thing about Man United. That's true. Well, depending on who you speak to, because some people go, why are we even talking about this? If that money comes in, I'm getting rid of that waste of space, that bum. Depending on who you speak to, right? In fan base. I can speak for me. I know you guys are big fans of Bruno as well, so I'll speak for this show. Let's say he's our best player. He's our most consistent player, most influential player. But even though I'm a big backer of Bruno, if there's a significant amount that comes in, you're not wishing him away. But it's like if all of those things marry up, where you go, he deserves someone like him that you've wasted your best years at Man United.
To a degree,
to a degree. I mean, you can't rubbish his achievements and what he's done and how he's endeared himself to the football club and how much he loves playing for Man United. But if he did play for Barcelona, or if he did play for Bayern Munich, or if he did play for Real Madrid, he would have a whole lot more in these last 5 years than he has now.
And his numbers wouldn't change. That's the other thing.
And his numbers wouldn't change. So then you go, if he wants to move in the summer, like what you're saying, I wouldn't begrudge him that. And if it was for a big fee, I'll go, it's a shame. Love Bruno, but don't begrudge him that. Done more than his fair share and get that money and reinvest in the team. I wouldn't be absolutely not reject that at all costs, because, we are trying to rebuild a squad here.
I think it'd be up to what he wants as well. I mean, I remember you saying to me when he did say that after that Sociedad game, when he was like, oh, yeah, the reason why we had those discussions is I had an offer. I remember you sort of saying oh, did he just say that? He just came out and went, I had an offer. And I mean, James, you might know this better than I, but I think there's the suggestion was that might have been a Saudi offer as opposed to necessarily a big European offer.
But so there was talks with PSG and Bayern as well.
And Bayern, there was links with certainly with Bayern. So you could see him going to those clubs and again doing well. He's one of those players I feel like that. You see him across Europe, and especially when you get to the business end of the season, like we're at now, where you get the Romanos and that, they go, Bruno Fernandez at Bayern Munich this season, he's got 25 assists in all comps. You could just see that kind of sort of press being put around him. And maybe there might be a time where he just goes, you know what, actually, kind of do want to end my career with winning stuff because he is a winner. But I also do feel like he legitimately does love Manchester United. His family is very settled being at Manchester United. He likes being the captain and the sort of dressing room leader, if you will. And I think he kind of likes having that responsibility of, as the club is going through this rebuild, if he could just win one, let's say it was a Premier League title, even if it was like right at the end of his career, he's 36, 37 years old, and he could do it. Like that would mean a lot to him. If he could have a bit of a Brian Robson where majority of his Man United career, it's only FA Cups and kind of, domestic cup trophies. And right at the end of his career, he wins a couple of Premier Leagues or something like that. You feel like that would mean a lot more to him because he is connected to the club. But if a big club did come in for him, especially with, we were saying with the financial situation, it might be one of those ones where, like they're saying with Kobe or Garnacho, where it's just difficult to say no if it's a lot of money because we need the money. But
the money.
As we've seen many a time with Manchester United, as often as we say, you need to get this player out or this player needs to go, blah, 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 that's half the equation. The other half is, are you able to replace them with someone equal to or better than, whether not even necessarily in terms of numbers, but just helping the team that moves us forward? Because like we've said with Andre Onana, getting rid of De Gea, wasn't the wrong decision, but who we brought in, that was also
but that replacing was the wrong someone decision. Like Bruno, the person would always be, no, actually not always, might not replicate exactly him. But then what we're able to do, the team's just a new type of team. There isn't this one guy where just everything goes through and there's this one guy who gets like 20 GA every year and stuff like that. It's just a new look. It's just a new thing. Yeah. Or you buy a couple of people like Bruno, that there's one guy that does all right, then you take him out and the next guy comes in and he's just as good. It's just different. I just think it would just be, there's no more that type. Because I was just looking at his career just quickly. In terms of like, if you put yourself in Bruno's shoes to sort of look back on his career, because he's 30 now, he's got 2 league titles for Sporting. He's got a Carabao Cup for us. He's got an FA Cup for us. So he's only won 2 things at United. He's got the Nations League with Portugal, but that's like, okay, cool, but it's not the biggest. And he's got another cup with Sporting as well.
He shouldn't have league titles.
Yeah, he didn't win the league at Sporting.
Because they won for the first time with Emerim after he arrived.
Portugal League Cup. Sorry, Portugal.
Yeah, the League
Cup.
Yeah. Sorry, but not the league.
He's got Portuguese Cup winner and Portuguese League Cup. So there you go.
That's the slam against him, is that he left Sporting and then they started winning.
Right before they won.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, I read that wrong. So there you go. So he hasn't. For how good
he's really
been,
won a league title.
He hasn't won a league title. And like for a player as big as that, of course, what will get thrown at him is, you're dead. You didn't even win a league. So it's like that. When does his Harry Kane thing kick in? Of like, you know what? I've done 5 years at United. I've done a good stint at Sporting. I've done a good stint at Italy. Where was he against? Where was he?
It was
Sampdoria. Right? It was Sampdoria, isn't it? Was it Udinese?
Yeah, so.
Is it Udinese?
It was no. Who are we thinking of? Because I swear there's some.
It was
Sampdoria.
It was Udinese and Sampdoria, both from.
Yeah,
there you go.
That's it. Yeah, there you go. So he's been in Italy, Portugal, and England for his career, main part of his professional career, and that league title's evaded him. A league title in any of those countries. If he gets like one last roll at the dice, but maybe he could move. Which is weird. Could he get a move like on a free or get a move, for low money to a good team that is like guaranteed? So like, could he go to Bayern as like a squad player? Yeah, like
33 or
he's
something.
33. Yeah. He could chip in as long as you got Musiala running around. You bring on Bruno off the bench and he gets the league title that way. I don't know.
I mean, they've done it. And Madrid have done it. Look how old, Modric and them still playing and still kicking on at that time. But yeah, it is an interesting question because it all comes back to that, that thing on like this. I think it's on because selling Bruno, obviously there'd be debate on this about whether it would make us better or not. If you sell Bruno and you buy one player, I don't think you're going to get better, And so it's like if you go to the Champions League and you get there and you sell Bruno to buy one player, it may not do anything for you. Bruno, it may not in the short term make you a better team. But if you're rebuilding, like you're saying, and you become a different team, and you sell him and use the 5 Dorgus example, like you get another goalkeeper in, you get another center back in, you get another 10 in, you do all of that with the Bruno.
Then would be better. Well, then hopefully
in the long term will be better because we have to do that stuff anyway, but we can't afford to do all of it. If you look at every position the club needs, how many players do we really need? If we wanted to actually like finish a rebuild at United, how many players do you think United need with these 10, 11, 12 departures we'll probably have? Probably need 6, 7, 8 players coming in. We need center backs. We need at least 1 midfielder, maybe 2. We need a 10. We need a striker. We need another wing back. There's a lot of players. If we can't afford to do all of that, that makes this rebuild process take a long time. And so then it becomes, there is a little bit of like, maybe we should cash in to get it all done in one shot. Just get the rebuild done. And now we're on the right track, even though in the short term, I mean, but if we're not in the Champions League and we're not in Europe at all, who cares, right? It's like that's the right time to do that. So I think it really depends. It really does depend. But if we win that Europa League, I wouldn't sell him at all.
It might be one to revisit, like at the end of next season, kind of thing, mightn't it? Because you get, if, let's say we don't win Europa League, you can have a season out of Europe. Lots of people do have that, don't they? But if you get to the end of next season, we're still no further getting closer to Europe. Then that's when you start to go, actually, a lot of those big players are all going to have to go. We've really got to build it from brick by brick and
back to back Europa. So no,
That's when you might have to.
Can I ask you a controversial question then on that, just on this basis?
This is the Trinity, mate.
But then, would you rather sell Bruno or Kobbie Mainoo if you had to make a choice this summer and one of them was going to go? I'm not saying that's the case. I'm not trying to imply anything. I'm just asking that question right now. Would you sell Bruno or Kobbie Mainoo, the future or the present? You know what I mean?
Hey, the Kobbie stuff, at the moment, it's kind of crazy. Talk about the difference a year.
Just because there's talk,
Talk about the difference a year can make. This time last year, we're talking like the future. I mean, sitting on the advertising hoardings with Garnacho and Højlund, we're looking at a scenario now where we're sort of saying there's a reality. Well,
all three of them
out of Manchester United.
And you know what? Not that, and there'd be a lot of people who'd be okay with that.
Yeah.
Which is
kind of which is mad,
which is wild.
Which is crazy.
I would sell Bruno.
It's a rough question, I think I would as well, but
yeah. I think if you put a gun to my head and said that this summer, I would say Bruno, because I've seen him maximize his potential. I've seen him get to the peak. He's not going to get any better than this. And past 30, not saying they crash and burn, but that's it now. You know what I mean? He can play at this level for a couple of years, but unless he's in a title winning team, you know what I mean, it's going to be tough. I think Kobbie is probably the United kid in us. Like, it's like he's ours. He's come through the academy. You know, there's something there. And I wouldn't want to see him leave when I've seen Bruno get a bigger. Bruno as well has got the respect of like world football where he'd get that big fee. I mean, well, are you saying it's for the same money, or did you add that to the question?
I didn't add that to it.
You didn't add that.
Don't
add that. It's fine.
But I don't want to add that in. Yeah.
No. That makes it too hard. I'm assuming that Bruno would probably get more because he's just
right.
You know what you're getting.
I would say probably right now. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'd probably edge towards that, but I'll be honest. Look, I still stand by to a certain extent. Although I'm being positive and being like, like I think we're not going to get beat against Forest, and I think that's in the short immediate term I'm being a bit positive, but I still stand by a lot of like what we have said over this season of like, the classic rip it all up. Like anyone can get it. Like we're not a good team and we're trying to rebuild something. So I don't have this like. I have players who I'd rather not leave. Like if I want to keep Kobbie, I want to keep him. I want him to develop here. But if like stuff happens, I'm not like we cannot do that. Like what are we doing? Like we don't really have anyone like that. I know. Listen, Ahmad, we've signed to a long contract. So I get that. That's fine. Euro's just got here, so there's some like non-negotiables like that. But they're few and far between. Most people for the betterment of the team. I'm like, I don't mind which way as long as we buy properly. I'm not attached
on the Kobbie one as well. Is anyone, since we're having that conversation, is anyone worried a bit about the injury stuff with him this season? Because he has been quite blighted with injuries, and obviously look, last season he didn't even play a full season because obviously he was injured in preseason coming into it. And I don't know, it's felt like this year, and sometimes look, people can just have bad years. He's a young guy. He's just never got going this year, has he? Because he played last summer. He played pretty much came back from the injury, played all the way through, was like key player, then played all the way through the summer because we got so far into the Euros. So he's already playing catch up, and then a couple of injuries. It does look like, and maybe I'm overthinking it, like physically he's changed in the last sort of 12 months. Like when you do see, like I mentioned, a year's a long time. I see clips of him a year ago and I go, Kobe looks a bit different now, actually, than he did a year ago. And it's not just
already,
it's not just because, you know, he was a bit of a skinhead. Now he's got a different hairstyle. He's bigger. Like he's bigger.
But it's because he's a kid. Because he's come through at like 18, 17, 18. He's only 19.
And that's when you go to injury. So you go, oh, is that just because, you know, it can happen? He's a young player, or because when we talk about Bruno as well, and it is somewhat of an apples to oranges comparison, it is a bit like, well, one thing with Bruno, he doesn't get hurt. He doesn't get hurt. By the way, this is the beauty of when you're live. One name we have been linked to this summer is Victor Gyokeres.
I was just looking at that.
Yeah. David Ornstein has just tweeted, literally in the last 15 seconds, saying Arsenal are developing strong interest in Victor Gyokeres as a possible striker signing. Andrea Berta, who of course was announced by Arsenal today as the new sporting director, is a firm admirer of the 26-year-old sporting forward, expected to figure prominently among Arsenal options and maybe more realistic than Alexander Isak, who they've also been linked to.
And he is more realistic.
That's an interesting one. The reason that's an interesting one is because I think on Friday I was speaking about this on the morning show. I went with the Gyokeres thing. As time goes on, I'm less and less convinced we'll even be in the conversation.
Yeah, no way. I don't think we will be. I've never thought of it.
I don't think we really have been at all.
No, I can't see it at all. Because again, if he's 26, I think he's going to be 27 next month, and he wants to go to Champions League Cup, we're not that. As a United fan, after what we've been through the last few years, I'm just scared of former players of the coach, you know, and I think there's a lot of risk in that deal. You know, I know he's had a great season. It's like 42 goals in 42 games, but I've never even really considered us to be a part of that. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, I think there is risk, and I think even when the first kind of stories came out about Gyokeres, there was always like, he kind of wants to take a next big step. You look at him; he's had a bit of a funny career, where he went through some lower league in England, didn't do so great, and then he did well, and then he went to Sporting, and he's kind of come on late in his career, and that means he's a player who doesn't have that much time, right? He's not, you know, usually you get all these other young strikers, we're all talking about 22, 23. This will be his first time this summer, a chance to move to an actual big club. You know, Osimhen, who's in Turkey right now, was playing at Napoli. It's not like he wasn't in the Champions League doing all of that already for a big club. So Gyokeres is it's weird. He's had a weird career kind of run and arc, and I do think there's some risk in that.
He's in his prime. Like, he's just getting into the prime.
Yeah, so I think he's going to look somewhere he can do something now, and that's always kept us a bit out of the conversation there. I mean, Arsenal need a striker, makes a lot of sense. It seems like that's one that probably happens.
Yeah, I think that bit that he's saying there, you know, may be more realistic than Isak. Absolutely, especially if Newcastle do get, he won't cost as much as Isak just on a pure starter of 100+ million. And also, let's be real, if you're Arsenal, you're going to draw up a list of strikers. And really, he's always kind of really been on that list. Him, Šeško, and, you know,
just to say, with Šeško in that same article, Ornstein also does say Arsenal have done a lot of work on RB Leipzig's Benjamin Šeško, who may prove to be a more cost-effective solution, but it's unclear if they're going to proceed with a move for him because he's got multiple suitors. And this is something we've mentioned many a time, which does worry me going into this summer with our need for a striker is we're not alone there. You can pick 4 or 5 Premier League clubs. They're all looking for the same player or same position of player. We need a striker. Arsenal need a striker. Chelsea are going to be looking for another striker. If Newcastle do lose Alexander Isak, they're going to be looking for another striker.
Liverpool need one.
That means Liverpool,
Liverpool looking for one. Even with Spurs, I know they got Solanke, but they're in a terrible season. They'll want a Daniel Levy. I know he drives a hard bargain, but when it comes to the summer, he's not going to want to be finishing like 15th, 14th again. They might go for another striker. So, and that's just in the Premier League, let alone across Europe. So there is a finite pool of strikers that everyone's kind of picking from. And that's why I do think Man United do need to be agile and versatile enough to go, all right, just at the moment, we can't do what we could have done 3 or 4 years ago, which is £70 million striker. Let's go get him. That's just not really on our Rolodex anymore. And
we wasted that opportunity on Højlund.
Yeah, and I don't think Ineos want to do it. I think they're looking at that price point of like 40 max 50, and that's with add-ons. Otherwise it's can we find someone for 35?
Well, that's the thing. They're talking about 80 million euros for these types of
players. What, for Ekitike?
Yeah, that's the price being named right now, and you're just like, it's not happening at those fees. It's not going to happen.
No, I think with the Gyokeres thing, it makes more sense. Let's be real. Obviously, price-wise, if it was like lower, it'd be great to have a striker of the profile of Gyokeres suits what we want, suits what everybody's looking for, right? But price-wise, it's Arsenal are sort of in a we've got the money, we could go take our pick sort of thing. Obviously, Isak, 130, that's probably pushing it. But Šeško and Gyokeres for Arsenal is like very attainable. They've got the money to go look at it,
and they're in the position they need one. They could do a transfer window where they just sign one player. They go, our whole budget's on one player. We don't really need many other players. We can just do that. We're not in that position.
Or two, just two big staple, a striker and a midfielder. They still need a bit more, but they could spend the majority of their budget. That's what they're crying out for. The biggest missing piece of the puzzle. They might have like 2 pieces of the puzzle missing, maybe 3, but the biggest one is at the top with the striker. So I get that. But it's not really news to us, really, that he's more likely to go to Arsenal. Yeah. Arsenal developing strong interest. Yeah. To me, I've always seen Arsenal as having strong interest this whole time with them, the big 3. As it, Šeško, him, and Isak. And obviously Osimhen. The big 4. There's like a 4. Those 4 are going to be the most talked about striker. And Ekitike, actually, that's technically the big 5. There's like 5 strong strikers, probably some that I'm missing out as well, but 5 off the top of my head that are like the main ones. And I never really, Mateta's another one. I haven't really seen us sort of, apart from the Ruben links, and it makes sense because it's his player and that's that. Price-wise, like what James saying, I've not seen us in that race. I haven't.
No, I don't. I mean, and this is quite interesting with that one. You mentioned those like big 4 or 5. Yeah, I don't think we get any of them. I think there's a lot more legs. Well, I think there's a lot of legs
Jonathan
in that.
David.
I think there's a lot of legs in that Mateta one. I think there might be a lot of legs in that one. 40 million quid. He's got about a year left on his contract. There might be this idea of, maybe we just get someone in for a year, ready-made. We've got, because this is the other thing. We've got a lot of young players in that team, like a lot of young players.
And we'll get more too.
Yeah, exactly. And, there might be this thing of, Chido, give him another year as well. We just kind of need someone a bit more ready-made, but not in the ready-made sort of level of Gyokeres, where it's going to cost 70, 80, 90 million pounds. That kind of just 40. They're already in the Prem. See what they can do. See if Ruben can get a bit more out of them. Because now you look at Crystal Palace, look, they're in the FA Cup semi-final. what a great team they are. Once again in the summer, they're going to sell players because Mateta, Eze will probably go, so they'll be selling, certainly. So I wouldn't be shocked if we ended up getting like a Mateta or something like that. And also, I'm not against it. As like, some people are like, Man United, we're really doing that. But I think that is our way back. Our way back isn't going to these big clubs. Yeah, I think is doing like Liverpool did with like Mane, Lallana, those kind of players, looking in the Premier League and going, right, who's ready to make a step up? If they can't do it, then we'll get, but we've also got the flexibility to get rid of a year or so later. I think that'll be the way that we try and get out of it. So I wouldn't be shocked if it's Mateta, Delap, someone like that. I mean, I know that apparently for young players in the Premier League, they all cost £100 million now. So I don't know how much Delap will cost as well. Either, but
surely not.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked with Mateta. I'm telling you, I wouldn't be shocked with that one.
Yeah, Jedi Pro has become the latest member of the UV Members Club. Big up to you, Jedi Pro. Big up, bro. AOJJ says, "Damn, y'all rebranded KG already." Yeah, we did. 100 kg on the rebrand. Listen, when you get good advice, you got to take it. James straight in. Doflamingo says, "KG glowing up differently yet today. 100%. The SJA's changed him. It's changed him.
Yeah, exactly.
We won an award on the Monday. On the Sunday, he looks a different person." Yeah. And Sub N says, "I'll be very happy for Bruno if he joins Madrid. An elite player like him deserves multiple Champions Leagues. My love for him won't reduce one bit." That's what we was touching on just before we was talking about Gyokeres. I don't think any of us would begrudge him a move. He's given everything. So if he decided to take a different path in the summer, then yeah, no problem. Everybody would understand that. And then the other half would want him to leave anyway. Z says, "Mateta, look how far we've fallen." I do look, it is I'm just like,
We signed from Premier League in the past, haven't we?
Yeah,
we did that. We did that all the time, with signing the best of the rest from the Premier League, whether it be signing Sheringham from Spurs, Andy Cole from Newcastle arrival, Dwight York from Aston Villa. You can list loads. I mean, that was Sir Alex certainly did it all the time of signing these players. If they can make the step up, great. If they can't, they can't. So I don't know. But that's the one thing I do worry about, is because if there's already this much debate around him, will he really get a chance if he comes here? You know what I mean? Will he have that?
The money will depend on that too, right? How much you pay for players obviously always factors into the fans' view of things. But it's hard to know what the right answer here is, because we have all these young prospects at striker coming in, and we'll probably even potentially look to more. And you look at Cheeto and you think, well, he wasn't really supposed to even play this season, so you kind of had to. He's not going to feature prominently. Even by next year, maybe not. There's a lot of room to grow. I don't know what the right answer is, honestly, here. Like, what the right answer for United to do is, especially if, we are where we are, we don't win Europa League, we're out there. What's the right thing? Do you get a Mateta in and get another young striker in, let's say, as well? Somebody, I know they're looking at them like these Vivel types, these guys who are 18, 19 years old playing in other countries, other places that you could bring in. Some of them turn into great players. Get one of those in. Does Mateta then just give you time? Is it money for some goals? 8-10 goals from him. That's all you need, and it gives you time to get these other players developing, to get them on the pitch, to get them playing right without the pressure that we always put on these young players, that they have to be, the savior, because someone's going to have to lead the line next year. And Højlund is definitely struggling with it. But he was struggling with it from the beginning. He shouldn't have been, leading the line from day one. So is Mateta one where you say, yeah, that's an experienced player. You put it on his shoulders. He'll lead the line. He'll do a decent job and take the pressure off everybody else to develop, to get their time, to get their years, to get the right matchup. I can see the logic in that.
Would the team play better with somebody like him? Listen, some people in the comments saying absolutely not. It's not good enough for us. Not good enough for United. Would the team function better? Someone who holds the ball, wins fouls, pitches in with some goals, bit of experience. I don't know, man.
Well, I look at when Xerxes came on a few times at striker when Højlund was having a really bad game, right? Xerxes would come on, not really get goals, just come on, pick the ball up, back to goal, control it. United as a team looked way better when he would come on, It's some of that in there. Like, it's not the solution, but it might be a good step forward without making a huge mistake again. That's kind of how I could see it.
Well, that's why Xerxes played up front against Arsenal, wasn't it, at Old Trafford? You felt like it was more Amorim just going, today we're going to be behind the ball, and when we do have it, I just need someone that can hold the ball up. I can't have the ball bouncing off my striker, so I'm just going to play Xerxes there. And fair play to Mateta, he could do that. Like, he could do that. And again, maybe that's, like James is saying, just to basically buy United more time, whether it is a year or 2 years or something like that, and at the price point that Mateta would be available for, which is again around 40. He's got a year left on his contract. United might look at that and go, we need to spread the money around a little bit more and still bring in that striker that can hold the ball up. So it might be that. And we've spoken about this quite a lot recently too, that football's changing. The way that teams are playing now, it's evolving once again. And I think these target men strikers that a couple of years ago were like dinosaurs and, there's no place now for the get the ball in the box striker or hold the ball up striker, big, tall, strong centre forwards. They're back now again. Like, teams they'd kill for that, with the emphasis that are on set pieces, throw-ins, crosses into the box, holding the ball up and then bringing the wingers into the game, or in our case, wing backs into the game. We're looking towards target men. And I think that's where someone like Rasmus Højlund has been misprofiled, because I think people think he can be a target man, but from the evidence to there, he's not, because he's better off, running channels, running behind. He's not good at holding up the ball. So whoever we do get, they've got to be good at holding up the ball and bringing people into play, which is maybe where someone like Mateta might come into it.
I don't know, man. I just feel like, because look, there's two sides of it, right? Like I said, 6 months ago, or probably longer, before Glasner got there, you go, nah, not, this ain't it. Back end of last season, you go, bloody hell, And then this season, to be fair, he's proved that last 6 months wasn't just, a purple patch. So there's a bit of body of work, but you're still like, are you a really good player though? Or are you just, then the Beto effect happened at Everton where he was a laughing stock. Then, David Moyes gets in there. So basically that supports that. You give a player the right surroundings, they can go from, 0 to hero. But we're so bad in that department.
Yeah.
Go on, James.
One other thing is that the system Palace plays not that different to ours.
Yes,
under Emery.
exactly.
It's much more similar than it was when we had, Ten Hag in. So the transition for him, same league, similar system, similar setup.
Yeah.
Why?
And he's better than Rasmus Højlund.
And he's much better than Rasmus, let's be real, right?
But are we just? But again, it's like Owen says about the De Gea thing. Is it we're going like we need someone better than Rasmus, which is Mateta, but that might not be the answer. But then in the short term, how would he make Man United worse? No, he wouldn't.
Keepers are funny though too. Like it's really hard to compare the keeper thing, right? Because
so hard.
Because the difference between a good keeper and a bad keeper can be like one little mistake, and it's a bad game for a keeper, right? They can't make mistakes. It's a little tricky. Like, and they do less for the overall game on average, right? Than you think like a number 9 in there in the hold up play and all of those things. We've replaced players before, and it usually goes all right. I mean, it's usually okay. I wouldn't say it always works out great, but it's usually okay when we decide someone.
You could say the same about a striker, though, couldn't you, as well, with that thing? Because I didn't even realize this till I was watching the City Forest game the other day, and Marmoush was playing for City, and I didn't realize that in the summer Forest had a deal agreed for Marmoush. They were like they thought they'd signed him in the summer, and then he was like, "No, I think I'm just going to stay." 6 months later, he goes to City, huge amount of money. He's one of their highest earners. He's got a massive contract at Manchester City, and that's just after he had a brilliant 6 month spell where he was one of the highest goal scorers across Europe, but. Striker's a funny thing, isn't it? Where you can just go on a run of scoring goals, and because goals in football, gold dust, they are the difference between you winning and losing, getting in the Champions League, winning titles. That if someone sees someone that is on form, that's when they go like, I can tell you what, actually, it goes back to the Bruno discussion we were having earlier on. That's why maybe it could be worth £100 million because it's difficult to find that guarantee, isn't it? So if someone can. How much would you pay for goals, basically? And this season, has a Premier League striker gone from like 220 goal seasons? Because Mateta's got between the League Cup and the Premier League, 19 or 20 last season, and he's closing in on that number this season too. Has there been any Premier League striker that goes to another Premier League team after seasons like that and then just falls apart?
No, I mean when Torres did it, when Torres fell apart at Chelsea, how many seasons was he there? Was that 2?
Liverpool, but then I suppose the difference one was with him is that towards the end of his Liverpool time there, he had a big hamstring injury, didn't he? And then on top of that, you even hear the Liverpool players say they're like,
he didn't look the same.
I think it was Jamie Carragher said like in his last season, the one good game he had, ironically enough, was against Chelsea where he scored a goal. Yeah. He wasn't the same. It wasn't like he was coming off the back of like a really amazing season for Liverpool.
Solanke, I don't know if he had 2. He was really good last year as the one, and that I think he scored 19 goals last year, didn't he? Something like that.
He's also had that big injury at Tottenham too, hasn't he? And he's
been out a lot this year.
He's got 10 goals and assists in the league. I mean, I guess I'm looking at like even the fall off, like Torres. His fall off was like 11 goals and assists in the league in 1,500 minutes. We're not getting 5% or 10% of that right now. We're not getting half of that. So I look at it.
Benteke's a good one when he went Liverpool after Villa because he did well. But how good was it? Obviously, like that prime Benteke of that, it kind of falls into like Demba Ba, Cisse. Like you go like they had this period where they were like hot.
That's what I mean. And then people take gambles, don't they? They go like well, let's see, let's
my man scored 23 goals in the MLS last season. So.
Yeah, he did. He had a bit of a resurgence in the MLS.
Benteke's
he's actually doing really well.
Who's he play for?
He plays for DC, I believe. Yeah, he plays at DC. Yeah, he's got 23 goals last season. He actually kind of has come up again.
Shout out Benteke, man. What a guy.
But that that Liverpool season for him, 9 goals, 3 assists, 1,500 minutes. That's still pretty good.
Yeah.
That's still a lot better than we're getting, like I would take that for 30 million any day right now. It's a lot better than what we're
Oh
getting.
yeah, he was at Palace, isn't it? I forgot about
And
his
then
Palace
he went to
days.
Palace after
Palace for
Liverpool.
ages. Bloody hell.
Yeah, and then he had 15 goals there the next season. So it's like
he's played most of his Premier Leagues at Palace, 177
Yeah.
appearances. You forget
Yeah.
that actually.
As they're
That
saying-
Palace thing was completely out of my mind.
As they're saying in the chat, he outscored Messi in the MLS last season. So bring back to the Prem.
Bring up Benteke, right?
Bring up Benteke.
You see, when I'm looking at Benteke's, so even when he was at Villa, he had a 19 goal season.
Yeah, then it's like 10 and 13, isn't it?
Then it was 10 and 13. So like it wasn't like back-to-back 20 goals.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and one of them in the Championship? No, he was the Prem the whole time. Right. So he wasn't mad prolific. Then that got him a move to Liverpool. And Liverpool, like you said, only scored 9 goals before moving on.
9 goals sounds great from a striker, right?
Yeah.
That's where we're at,
Palace, he banged 15.
Yeah,
the
next
Benteke
season.
Wasn't that also as well? Wasn't he like a late Brendan Rodgers signing? Jurgen Klopp comes in, different manager, suddenly he doesn't fit anymore. You're in a different system. So, yeah, I just don't think we're in the position at this point to be turning our nose up at anyone. Like James is saying, if they can score goals and they're a good price and a good price point, because that's the other thing too. Are we getting value for money? Because when it comes to most signings we do at Man United, we don't get value for money. If the money's not that high and the return's not great, but the money wasn't that high, so we actually got pretty good value for money in that regard. Yep. That's our biggest problem. We don't get value for money.
Joe Fleming says, "Someone please save me from this Mateta talk." There's going to be a lot of people not having it, and it does make me feel uneasy. I get it. It just doesn't feel like we should be discussing it. But then when Owen hits you with the, "Hey, wake up! Do you realize who we Flex? You realize who we are. You realize where we're at." Larry says, "Owen, check Ornstein. We've already done that. Big up to you, Larry. We discussed that Gyokeres situation." And Escu United said, "Big up everyone. Just saying, remember how we got Euro? Gyokeres is possible." I don't know, man. It's going to be more than the 50 million we euros. That's like our maximum. Like, I don't think
there's going to be teams willing to pay the money for Gyokeres.
Exactly. Super Arch says, "No more trendy players. Stay away from Diblin, Mateta, Gyokeres, Brantford, Delap. All not good for us. Need better research. Go and do what you saying. Go and do the Brightons. Go and you know what I mean. Go and get the next Believer. Go and get the next Matoma. Go and get the next Caicedo. You know, those types of.
I suppose the risk is, and this has always been the argument against the whole do the Brighton thing, is Brighton can do that and get away with it, whereas Man United, regardless of who we sign, as we've seen recently with these young players, there's this immediate expectation on them. Like, for instance, Cheeto, like we said, he's not even meant to be playing. He came on against Fulham, and legitimately, there was Jamie Jackson going, Cheeto froze after he missed a chance. You're going, froze? He's not even meant to be on the pitch, let alone, you know what I mean? Aiden Heaven now, almost to his detriment, sort of, is that he's already set the bar really high for himself.
Well, no, people are like, "Oh, we don't need a center back. We've got Heaven." I'm like, hold on a second, man. It's been one start he's had. One start.
Exactly. So that's why with Brighton, you're not paying that much attention to the they come there and they're not there for a period of time. I can't remember who it is. He plays a centre back for Brighton, and he said, like, when I signed there, they told me that I wasn't going to play for like 3 years. I was going to go out on loan, then I was going to go to the Championship, and then in my 3rd year, I was going to play. I was thinking that United they just wouldn't get the chance to do that, because we'd immediately be going, where is he? Why is he not in the team? Why is he going? What's happening? So it's difficult for us. Yes, we should be going for those players, and we can get a situation like Aiden Heaven, which we go, that's great. You know, they're playing often, but regardless of who it is, there's always going to be that expectation. And as I've mentioned many a times with us as Man United fans, and I throw myself in there, we will never be satisfied, ever. We will want those players that cost 1 or 2 million. We'll do it, and then we'll complain we're not getting big transfers and spending enough money. Then we'll spend big money. We'll be like, why are we not getting those young players? You know, because unless we're winning, that's the currency we only care about. Not pounds, not euros, not dollars. It's winning. As long as Man United winning, then we won't talk that much about the transfer strategy. But until we do, I don't know.
Yeah, it is one of those ones, man. Who are we gonna get? What are we gonna do? It's gonna be a really exciting summer. Yeah. Why not?
Get one of them like Brighton signings, and somebody like safe like Mateta. Get 2 strikers. I mean, it is possible.
Yeah. Mateus Cunha obviously done an interview with the Guardian saying he's told Wolves already, I'm off in the summer, mate. I want to be competing for titles. So It's obviously not us, but but he wants to leave. He wants to leave. Obviously, Ekitike is another one who's been mentioned. He's only 22 years of age, though, so it's kind of, I don't know. Are you going to get another Højlund then? I don't know.
Flex. I tell you how we are going to raise funds. We're going to raise funds by selling Marcus Rashford in the summer. He scored today, against
prices
Preston.
going up.
Prices going up. Did an interview after the game. I don't know if you saw it as well. Where,
didn't see the interview. What did he say?
To be fair, we basically just went, he was like, "Oh, I'm getting used to playing in this team now." And it's true. He said, "Before I even got here, I wasn't playing for a while," which is true. He didn't play for all of December, so he's like, I'm just sort of getting to grips with things, getting to grips with things now. But like it's the case. I hope he scores in the FA Cup semi-final. I hope he does well in the Champions League. It's all good for us. That means it's more like that Villa will exercise the buy option, and if not, and that somewhere else across Europe they'll stump up the money, and Rashford can maybe get the move that he wants. Maybe he does get the move to La Liga or something like that, because that's seemingly what he wanted. So I see that's only good. I still think it's been a bit carried away. I mean, you should have listened to the commentary earlier on. My goodness me, every time he touched the ball, it was, well, he's just playing with so much confidence. It's clearly he's coming out of his shower that he's not playing for Man United. And it's like, all right, we get it. He's playing games. He wasn't even playing at United. So, of course, he looks more confident now. Of course, he looks better. But, yeah, I mean, it's good that he's scoring goals. I mean, you don't want him to go to Villa and not succeed. That would be very
and just with Rashford in general, like he's not like a total load of rubbish. He's not like he'd been playing like that for a while at Man United for so many factors, so many reasons. Like you have to be us where we follow the player to understand what's really gone on with him. When you're just a neutral, you go, oh, flipping out. I remember he scored 30 goals one season. Now he's just crap, typical Man United. Then you see him leave and then play all right, and you go, oh, look, it's bigger than that with Rashi. The people around him, how he's felt. He's been really down in the dumps. He's had some up and down seasons. He's had some really, really low times. Remember was it the Ranić season? What was that when he was arguing with the fans in the car park? Was that the Ranić season? Yeah, then Eric's first season was 30 goals. Yeah. So that was one where you went, I'll tell you what, he could do with some time out. We were literally pleading, listen, just take him out, let him go. Remember him walking out, was going to give it to a fan, go back to him, and then it's like, don't do that. He's been up and down. He needed a fresh start for so long, So I'm not surprised when you see him doing this. He's not really doing anything that like is a revelation to me. He's not. It's not like, oh my God, this is the Marcus. This is it. It's like I said, he hasn't played since December. So just even seeing him playing regularly is going to provoke that emotion of, wow, he's at it. Then he's happy. He's smiling. He's in a good team. He's in a good team that plays on the front foot. They attack a lot. And he's trying. Because he's got a new lease of life, and that's what he's been needing. It hasn't worked at Man United. It's not going to work in Man United in the future, and his future is elsewhere. So I'm not surprised that he's never gonna like not go past the player and get a goal again, or not getting he's a good player, Marcus Rashford. When he's at his best, then he's not thinking and he's not second guessing and he's confident. When he's that type of player, that's how we got 30 goals out of him. That's how he's had 2 of the best seasons in his career. When we all witnessed it as United fans. Sometimes he's unplayable. You got bloody hell. When he's in that sort of mood, defenders can't live with him. But when he starts thinking and the times get harder, and that's when we'll see. So Villa fans should enjoy it. And, having someone like Marcus Rashford available to you in semi-final at Wembley, quarterfinals are, up against PSG on the break. That's a super weapon for Aston Villa. It's exciting. I just hope he does well for the player and for, like you say, we need that price to go up. And I'm not one of these people. Some people go, nah, you're basically dead to me if you leave Man United. I don't care about your career. No, he's still a Manchester boy. I hate the fact it's ended like this at United. I hate it. I think it stinks. I wish it didn't. But I got over the fact that it was going to end like that ages ago. So I'm not shocked. I'm past that. I just want him to move on with his career. We move on with our club, and we all go our separate ways, man. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I agree.
I don't think he's been that great, but he hasn't been that bad either. He's been better because he's playing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
No. Yeah, I agree.
Ayo says, why not buy and send them out when the risk is low? Is that basically what James is talking about in terms of you can, if you want to move them on afterwards, you can, if it didn't quite work because they're not, I think Owen, you were saying it too, if it's not that bad of a deal. So yeah, there you go. Guys, where did we get to with likes? We didn't really push, actually. Let's get to 300 on the way out, people. But it's just under 1,000 people watching. Let's get to 300 likes on the way out. Morning View tomorrow, where it will be the day before a game, which will be amazing.
For playing a match. Can you believe it? Oh, my God.
Like 3 weeks, playing a game. Forever.
Yeah, man. Absolutely forever. That Leicester game feels like it was forever ago. As we turn our attentions towards a very, very tough game against Forest. Forest, of course, now, won on penalties yesterday into the semi-finals at Wembley. So they're buzzing. City Ground's going to be buzzing. But hopefully they've played a lot of football and they're a bit tired. I don't know. Maybe we can, like I said, I think we'll probably get a draw, but let's see. We are playing football very, very soon. We'll see you in the morning. Big shout out to James. Big shout out to Owen, of course. And you guys.
Happy Mother's Day as well.
Yes,
to all of the mothers
absolutely.
In the chat.
Yes, everybody celebrating. Big up to you guys, man. And make sure you show some love to your moms. Big up, man. Right, we're back again tomorrow. Smash a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're on your episode 58 of the Trinity podcast. Over and out. Peace.